Everybody, welcome back to another episode of 13 Rings Podcast. I'm your host, Lucas, with Mal, Maurice, and Earl. And guys, it's already past week 6. It's almost week 7. The NFL season is in full swing. There's no early week mess-ups anymore. There's no excuses anymore. It is what it is at this point. And there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, pretty much getting to that halfway point.
Mm-hmm. So before we get into it, let's go into our last week's predictions that we had prior to the beginning of the season. Week 6, we had the Commanders all winning. We all got that one right. For the Giants, Maurice had them losing. The rest of us had them winning. Maurice, you were the winner in that one. Week 6, we had the Eagles losing, but I don't think it's the reason why we had them losing for what they were losing for. No. But we were all right on that one, or at least, the other team's opposing quarterback. And then Dallas, I had them losing. The rest of y'all had them winning. I was wrong. I'll eat crow on that one. That being said, Maurice, you are up first this week, and it seems appropriate because your Eagles are now not undefeated anymore.
Yes, we were the lone undefeated team for like 3 hours because the 49ers lost earlier that day. Eagles lost 20-14 to the Jets. This is a classic case of playing down to the competition. I truly believe the Eagles should have won this game. It boiled down to turnovers. Jalen Hurts had one of his worst games I've seen since his rookie year. Passed for 280, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Jalen Hurts had 4 interceptions all last year. And he has 8 now so far this season.
Wow.
That's not good.
I'm waiting until you're done to talk about this a little bit, but keep on going, sir.
Yeah, this is a deflating loss, specifically because of who we have coming up. Jalen Hurts looked bad. He looked bad. It was a lot of bad throws. A lot of forced throws, specifically to A.J. Brown. Just turnovers all around. DeAndre Swift had a turnover. Dallas Goedert had a turnover. It was a lot. It was a very sloppy game, I must say, from the Eagles. We were still in range, but it was just an ugly game from the get-go. They didn't really rush the ball enough for me. They had 22 rushes. 8 of them was from Hurts himself. The quarterback shouldn't be rushing the ball this much. He's rushing it a lot. And thankfully, he's a big guy, so he can take these hits, but you don't want a Anthony Richardson situation on your hands. And in this case, DeAndre Swift is one of the best running backs so far in the NFL, and he had 10 carries for 18 yards. That's not enough. This offense was too pass happy. Jalen Hurts threw the ball for 45 times. He was 28 for 45. That's too many passes, specifically against one of the worst rush defenses in the Jets. I don't have the stat in front of me. I think the Jets were 28 for 29th in rush defense, and they didn't run the ball enough. They just got way too pass happy. It wasn't a good game all around. The defense was okay. The defense in total had 5 sacks. They got a lot of pressure on Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson wasn't the he wasn't the reason why the Jets won this game. The Jets won this game because of their defense. They played good defense. I'll give them credit for that, but our offense should have won this game. What are you guys' thoughts on it?
So I got to say a few things. First off, you guys definitely lost to the best quarterback in New York City. I'm going to say that right now.
Tyrod Taylor is better than Zach.
Oh, you know what, Mal? I'm waiting to get to Tyrod. Don't get me started on that. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm saying that for hyperbole right now, but trust me, Mal, I got things to say about your team too. Point. It's coming. But in the meantime,
come on,
to my point. To my point. I apologize. Let me get to my point here. My point is this: is that the offense has not looked the same this year. you could blame the offensive coordinator. Maybe it was a fluke last year. I think it's a little bit of both. Personally,
I can answer that question.
I think last year was more. I'm not saying that it's Daniel Jones level flash in the pan, but I think that maybe the efficiency to that extreme was a bit of a fluke. Not saying that Jalen Hurts isn't a really good quarterback, because I believe he is, but I think part of it is you lost your offensive coordinator, and this new guy, to you, like you said, is running the quarterback too much and not the running backs enough. And the other thing that I've noticed in this game, especially in the second half, Maurice, is that Jalen Hurts, for the first time since his rookie year, has not trusted his offensive line. I think some of those passes were hurried. I think some of those passes were because he was afraid. I think a couple of sacks were given up because of that. And I think that, fear of getting sacked, because he did get hit a lot.
I will say this.
You guys lost some offensive line.
I got an explanation for that.
Yeah, I do.
I
yeah.
will say this.
Go ahead, though.
Before you go, Maurice. No, it's okay. I think that the biggest thing that really hurt the Eagles this week was losing Lane Johnson that early.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed.
That's all I had to say. So Maurice, go ahead.
Yeah, we lost one of the best, if not the best, right tackle in football. In the first half, and Lane Johnson hasn't allowed a sack in 3+ seasons. So when you go from Lane Johnson and Jack Driscoll,
that's gonna be a problem.
We all noticed that. I've noticed it immediately. Jalen Hurts started running for his life, specifically from that right side. So, going back to what you were saying about the coordinator, we have the same players. It's definitely more so the coordinator. Shane Steichen, who's now the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, was a very creative, and we've seen that with the Colts offense too, with Richardson, before he got hurt. He's a very creative offensive coordinator. And Brian Johnson has gotten a playbook, and he hasn't added any creativity. He's basically just using the same plays from last season, and a lot of the league has caught up to that offense that the Eagles had.
That brings to my point. That brings to my point, Maurice. That situation with it's tape on Jalen Hurts now. After seeing a full season of it, teams are starting to figure that out, and I'm not going to put the blame on the coordinator or the injuries. Otherwise, what took place in this game, the Eagles still had a chance to win this game. The only situation is they tried to run it, but I think Robert Saleh realized, look, they know that running is y'all go-to. And if they can minimize that and get Jalen Hurts to throw, then do it. Now, it was kind of odd seeing the Eagles get away from the run, but I think that was the adjustments from the Jets a little bit, in which, regardless, even if both of their main starting corners was not in this game, and Jalen Hurts looked completely confused when throwing the ball. And they made it very difficult for him, especially that front four for the Jets. But overall, it's a lot of tape out now dealing with Jalen Hurts and this offense. And teams are kind of scheming on it, in which they're figuring things out dealing with the Eagles. But losing Lane Johnson, that was pivotal for the offense because he's one of the leaders on the offensive line. But at the same time, go ahead.
I'll say this about Jalen Hurts. I still think Jalen Hurts is a top-tier quarterback. I think he had a really bad game. Defensive coordinators, if they are scheming a lot more to stop him, specifically his passing, rolling him out, and just letting him throw off the run. That makes a big difference. What I will say is, like I said, they have the same offense. They have the same players. They have a lot of talent, a lot of weapons. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard, Swift. Go ahead.
Then why sign Julio Jones?
Well,
I was going to get to that too.
Yeah, they signed Julio Jones.
I think that's a Quez Watkins replacement.
Yeah, Julio, he's going to be the third wide receiver. I don't expect much going forward from him. He's added something so the coordinators can, scheme something else. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think Julio Jones is a good addition. I'm surprised I didn't realize that he wasn't on a roster already, but that's a good pickup. Saw some interesting stats about how much he's racked up against the Eagles over the years. Who was your player of the game for this game, Maurice?
No one.
No one. Okay.
I respect it.
Yeah,
All
no
right.
one.
All right. Well, I get to talk about the Commanders. Back to 500. Sadly, where it seems like Ron Rivera will always keep them, but they did win, so I'm happy this week. I'm happy this week. Sam Howell, 3 touchdowns, around 155 yards. Took command of the game pretty much. Couldn't get a late game drive, and I give kudos to Falcons defense on that. But let's be clear of something. If the Falcons offense could have actually executed, we probably wouldn't have won this game. So many bad things go wrong for them. Did you guys see the game?
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, so you know that Desmond Ridder had 2 late interceptions, including a game-sealing one to what's his name? Jameson. The guy that got arrested this off season, who was it?
Jameson Crowder?
No, that's basketball. That's basketball. Jamin Davis. There we go. Jamin Davis.
Oh,
Thank you. But Jameson Crowder, wrong podcast for that. If you want to talk about him,
my bad.
Jamison Crowder is on your. Jamison Crowder's your
He's on your
returner.
team.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Sorry, I'm thinking of the other Crowder,
Jay Crowder.
Jay Crowder. See, now my head's everywhere, guys. I apologize. I got my 300th episode of the Sixer Sense podcast that we're recording directly after this. So if you guys like basketball and the Philadelphia 76ers, make sure you tune into that too. Follow us
Lucas,
on
your head
Spotify.
was spiraling like Ritter was in the game.
It was. You know what? I've had a long day. I've had a really long day. You deal with middle schoolers and tell me how you feel afterwards. But that being said, look, it was a really. They also burned a timeout after when it was a dead ball when they didn't need to because they couldn't get the play out quick enough. That happened several times to them. In all accounts, the Falcons should have won, and I think that game kind of encapsulates why Desmond Ridder is not the guy for Atlanta. So that certainly helped us, but there was some positives there. Like I said, the offense looked good. Howell had 3 touchdowns with no interceptions, 155 yards, and under 20. I believe it was under 20 attempts for the game, if not pretty close to it. Let me double check the stats here real quick, guys. But my point being here is that the offense finally looked like they were doing something. The defense held Atlanta, who has a lot of good offensive weapons, just not a great quarterback, to pretty solid score. I think they really held them down in the first half. But let me ask you guys, my player of the game is Sam Howell, but what do you guys think about this game for the Commanders?
Player of the game is Sam Howell.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, he didn't pass. He didn't pass for a lot, but he had 3 TDs. Once again, he got sacked 5 times again.
Yeah. That's the bad part is our offensive line. It's just look, he got the ball out quickly. I don't even blame any of the 5 sacks on him from what I saw. None of them were his fault. Which just goes to the offensive line issues. It definitely needs to be addressed this offseason. I don't think there's any question about it. Terry McLaurin had a good game, 81 yards. Curtis Samuel, Brian Robinson, and Antonio Gibson all had passing touchdowns. Defensively, we got a few sacks in ourselves. We got 3 sacks in, loss of 11 yards. And 3 interceptions. Kendall Fuller, Jamin Davis, Benjamin St. Juste. The St. Juste interception came in the 4th quarter in the end zone as well.
Former Eagle Casey Toohill with 2 sacks.
Oh, wait a second, Toohill. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he actually got a lot of run this game. It was really nice to see him out there. So, what do you guys think?
I think the player game for y'all, I'm going to give it to the defense because they seized the opportunity that was there with Ridder throwing those late interceptions and pretty much gave the offense a chance to extend the lead. So I'll give player of the game to y'all defense.
Oh, and just a quick stat correction. Sam Howell had 23 attempts on 14 completions for 151 yards. Still pretty good, considering that he usually throws around 40 attempts a game, so that was actually a pretty good run balance. He 23 pass attempts versus 22 carries. Got sacked for 5 times, so it's really 28 versus 23, which is a pretty good number.
I would say keep him around 25, maybe 30 attempts.
I think so too.
Him going to 40 or more, that's putting risk.
Yeah,
That'll
I
cut
agree.
down on the sacks.
Yeah, I agree as well. Maurice, what do you guys think?
Yeah, so I think the way that it was going in the beginning, it shouldn't have even been close. You guys should have won by a lot more.
I
personally
agreed.
think.
Agreed.
But I will say, listen, a win is a win. Doesn't matter if it's pretty. You got to take advantage of all the opportunities, and you guys did. You won the turnover battle. Overall, a good win for you guys. Would have been super difficult coming to play New York next week, going down to 2-4. So staying at 3-3 is great for you guys, and I think you're still in a good spot. So overall, good win for you guys.
Agreed. Yeah, we could definitely still turn things around and get into the playoffs. Yeah. All right. So
Playoffs.
We're talking about playoffs here. Playoffs.
Playoffs? Are you kidding me? Playoffs?
All right. Earl, I know you feeling good this week, so go ahead and tell us about how good you feel.
I'm kind of how I felt last week.
Really? You won though.
Yeah. I'm gonna enjoy this week and bye week, but after that, we got the Rams. Basically played on Monday night, and overall, it was the supposedly, allegedly Kellen Moore Bowl. What I thought from the game is that actually before the game, there was a little chippiness with the defense, the Dallas, and the offense and defense of the Chargers. So it was just kind of like that time they had in scrimmage in the offseason
A little
2 seasons
kerfuffle.
ago. Yeah, it was something small. But overall, I thought the game was really good. It was one of those close games that most Cowboy fans would think Dallas would lose. And they actually won a close game. So I was really excited about that. But overall, I thought the offense is still trying to work out the kinks with Mike McCarthy doing the play calling and just seeing how he is as a play caller. It's going to take time. I really hope during this bye week they can fix things because I'm to the point now if they can't get going more efficiently, I think they might need to give Brian Schottenheimer full control of the play calling. And Kellen Moore, he pretty much gave the game away with the passing and so on that he was doing in the game with Justin Herbert. And when the defense needed to step up, Micah Parsons got a sack. Then the next play later, interception, ball game. What went wrong? I actually have a list of things that went wrong. It's basically my problem with the front office. I feel like the front office with their team is basically an embodiment of the team, and I consider the team soft. And the reason for that is that they have so much potential as a team to do so much, but the front office has things handcuffed for them, and it's really going to hurt them as the season goes along if they don't remove those handcuffs and let the coaches do their thing and let the players do their thing. Football competition is there. In this game, I saw a lot of football politics, especially at receiver. I don't understand how Michael Gallup got more receiving attempts than CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb had 7 receptions for 117 yards. He was smoking them in the slot. And Michael Gallup, he had 10 to 13 receptions and only 3 catches of those. He dropped 2 touchdowns that hit him right in the hands. I'm thinking Michael Gallup has some confidence issues, especially coming off his torn ACL. And I think they need to shift those reps over to Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks showed up. It looked like he's getting healthier, and he caught a really nice touchdown pass by Dak Prescott. Speaking of Dak Prescott, he put the team on his back in this game. He was able to use his legs finally. I've been waiting for him to use his legs. Got a rushing touchdown as well as the passing TD. He went 21 for 30, 272 yards with one pass TD and one rushing TD. The run pass option is really good. And I just really like how Dak Prescott was improvising with utilizing his legs, extending plays. I missed that Dak Prescott. So hopefully when they come off the bye, I can see more of Dak Prescott doing this. I know I was really hard on him last week, and I try to put as much pressure and accountability on Dak Prescott because I know how well of a quarterback he is. They consider him average. I think he's average, but that's only because I know what he's capable of doing, and he's showing me average stuff. Y'all may have a different opinion on that, but overall, I think the game was good. Mike McCarthy got that win over Kellen Moore. So now going into the bye week, they can fix some of these issues, and the defensive issues, they'll work itself out too. But I really like seeing Marquise Bell. He was that safety that converted the linebacker. He was flying all over the field in this game. And hopefully he gets more reps. And then maybe they can keep Leighton Vander Esch on the sideline where he can get healthy or he can think on what he wants to do, especially having another neck injury. I wish him nothing but the best. But I think this defense, on how they played, it was a lot faster. They hit their gaps better. And I just need Dan Quinn to continue to fix the pieces as well as tweak them to the best of their ability. Hopefully, I'm hoping they can at least talk to Denver about Pat Surtain because I think he would be a really good asset to the secondary for Dallas. My player of the game is actually Dak Prescott. What do y'all think?
Well, I'll just say when the Dallas Cowboys offense is at its best is when they get the ball to their best pass catcher, which is CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb had 7 catches tonight on Monday night for 117 yards, but he averaged 16 yards a catch. So for that offense to somewhat be potent, they need to run the ball, whether it's multiple 20 plus carries for Pollard, which they don't really need to do, but they can get their other running backs involved and get the ball to CD and get something from
Oh,
their tight ends.
you know what's crazy? Dak Prescott led the team in rushing for 40 yards
Yeah,
and a touchdown.
yeah, you don't want that. I'll say the same thing for
Exactly.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
You don't want
I
that.
need Dak to utilize his legs, but I don't need him being the leading rusher. And Mike McCarthy, his play calling in that game looked almost identical to Kellen Moore's. So I'm like, if you want to try to do play calling, have Tony Pollard run to the outside. You have Rico Dowdle who can run between the tackles. Tony Pollard can do that some of the time, but you got to get him out in space.
My
I
last
don't like what
question.
I'm seeing.
Go
Yeah,
ahead,
go
Earl.
ahead.
I was going to ask you this one last question to you. How 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 do you see your offensive line as of right now? What would you give your offensive line going into the bye a grade from A to F?
I'm gonna give them a C minus to a C plus. The only reason why I
Okay.
say that is that you have 2 to 3 offensive linemen coming off injuries, in which all of them have some type of injury of some sort. With Tyler Biotis on center, he had a hamstring injury. Zach Martin, ankle injury. Terrence Steele, coming off ACL tear last season. Tyler Smith, coming off hamstring injury, as well as Tyron Smith, hamstring injury. Also age. I'm to the point now during the bye week, you got to get some of your young guys involved with the offense. Yeah, they can learn from the veterans, but having them together is fine. But seeing the last two matchups, it's it's bad. It seems like age is like catching up to Tyron, and Terrence Steele, he's better at run blocking. I'm tired of seeing Dak in the shotgun most of the time. I really need to see them run the ball, in which Mike McCarthy has been like beaten on the table for, and I haven't seen it yet. Hopefully they figure something out going into the bye. I have to do more research on the bye week, and I really I'm getting tired of the front office. I really think they're handcuffing a lot of things with this team in which holding them back. Yeah, they can smack teams that are lesser than them, but when they go up to an inferior team, they get punched in the mouth, slapped in the face, dirt kicked on them. And that's just the embodiment of how the front office is handling things, where ins- they're here for clicks and marketing instead of W's on the field. And that's something that I can't stand for, as well as knowing that they're better than that, but they don't want to make the changes to make the team better. Because on paper, talented team. Production, not so much. And I still need Micah Parsons to embrace the villain. I need Dak Prescott to embrace the villain. I feel CD is tapping into that too, but I need some of that villain tenacity to flow around this team because I believe they can do damage. But it also, I need the front office to remove those handcuffs to let them run loose. And right now, I haven't seen it. So I'm just keep having patience to see where this team goes. But I also know I need to see the villain side of Dallas.
So before we move on, I'll just say this, Earl. I thought the game was closer than what it needed to be. I think either team could have came out on it, and I think Kellen Moore's offensive play calling is what won you guys the game. That being said, let's go ahead and move on to Mal. Mal, I'll be honest, I thought you all had this one.
I did too.
We should have. And I will say this was definitely a heartbreaker because it was right there. Everything seemed to be working out for us, but yeah, Giants came up short. We lost 14-9 to the Bills. But I will say I feel a lot better about this one.
That's good.
What went well? I think that the entire team played with heart for the first time I've seen them this season, besides that one half against Arizona. The defense was awesome. Bobby Okereke, our linebacker, he was just all over the field, forcing turnovers and really, kind of showed up and was doing what we paid him for. So he looked great. He really did. And this is actually a really cool stat that I had just noticed that the Bills were shut out in the first half for the first time in 60 straight halves.
Wow.
Yeah, and the Giants defense did that. They looked great. Offensive
It was
line
one of
looked
those
much
Sundays.
better. It was one of those Sundays. It was a weird Sunday. So I kind of figured it was going to be a weird game, but not that weird. The offensive line held up pretty well, especially with Justin Pugh straight off the couch. Did a really nice job.
Yeah, he did.
And he moved over to left tackle, which he never played in his career before. And I think he held his own, which it was good to see. And Tyrod only had 3 sacks on him, which was good. We got Hyatt involved a lot. Love to see that. They brought it up to the literal last minute, being decided on a referee missed call. But, Lucas, you know that very well because we did it to you guys last year and we got away with it. So that was some karma.
Yep.
But overall, happy with the team's effort. What went bad was I don't know what the heck happened at halftime where Tyrod decided to change the play and run it.
That was like I think that was the deciding factor of this game.
No, I think he was trying to play some hero ball.
But
he was.
That's the only bad thing I will say about Tyrod in this game.
Yeah, other than that, Tyrod did great. He looked composed out there. He was making some long throws, and it was the flair that we needed, and the team looked like they were rallying behind him. and it was great. It was great to see. My player of the game, Fabio Carrique. He really made a difference out there. But I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts.
So I've been waiting because me and Earl have talked
go
about
ahead,
this
Lucas.
several times. And Mal, I'm going to say this, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I think y'all, if you don't, you should have a quarterback controversy because what I saw from Tyrod, first off, we already knew that Tyrod was a better passer, but it's not like he can't run. We know that he can.
Yeah.
He's more composed in that pocket, even though the offensive line wasn't good. And you could say, the offensive line has been bad all season. And you can say, oh, it's because Saquon's back. And maybe that's part of it. But Mal,
I think it's too
Yeah.
early for QB controversy.
if it was my call, I'd stay with Tyrod. I would bench because it doesn't look like the team believes in him. It doesn't look like the team believes in Daniel Jones. The team that I saw that night looked like they believed in their quarterback. And honestly, I think Tyrod has played better than, besides that one half of football, than Danny has all season. So that's just my thoughts.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, Lucas. I know I talked to you about this, and I think with Saquon's presence, being able to play, he's actually my player of the game because
That's a good point.
It seems like when he was on the field, the offense looked like they were in sync. And yeah,
Yep.
Tyrod Taylor was doing his thing, but being able to run back-to-back ISO run plays with Saquon and he breaks it both times, at that point,
It's wild.
I would have kept feeding the ball to Saquon
I
because
mean, they ran him 24 times.
hey, I would have ran it with him until they stopped it. And from the looks of it, it seemed like towards the end of that game, he was getting some big plays.
I
with
was
him
sitting
coming-
there.
Oh, go ahead.
And I saw him get mad on the sideline after Josh Allen threw that one touchdown pass, and you could just see it. I'm like, oh, Saquon's mad, but hopefully he channels that. And then he was just breaking through everything, and it was really good to have him back. His leadership alone with that team, it just does wonders for them. We've missed him a lot, so hopefully he can stay healthy.
And with him coming back, and I would say keep Tyrod there with Saquon and get the receivers involved. They even showed out too. I think if they can keep the core together and they can stay healthy, they can turn it around. I don't think Daniel Jones is going to play the rest of the season. I would shut him down.
They said that he was going to play next week. They said that they were talking about playing him next week. I wouldn't
expect it.
I wouldn't do it.
I would
keep Tyrod there.
I know you guys paid Daniel Jones, but right now Tyrod looks like the better quarterback.
Going against the Commanders' defense, I'd rather play Tyrod.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Tyrod
He's
has that veteran pocket presence with him. He can handle he used to be a starter. He wasn't a bad starter.
No, he wasn't.
Is he like a quarterback that you can win a Super Bowl with? No. But is he like an average starting quarterback when during his prime? Absolutely. He's not in his prime anymore, but he's still quality. And I'm not trying to be mean to Daniel Jones. I hope you don't feel like I'm trying to be mean. But in all reality, Tyrod Taylor appears to me to have more respect among the wide receivers, offensive line, and Saquon. And that goes along with team chemistry.
Yeah.
I think it's Saquon.
I don't really care who's born. I just want to start winning some games because this is getting old.
No,
and this was the closest. This was the closest we got against a very good team, very good offense. The defense was awesome. I just need them to continue to be awesome, and for Tyrod to game manage, keep the receivers involved. Slayton had some long passes that he caught. Hyatt had some good passes. So hoping that we just keep the same energy in this. Motivates them to guys again this weekend. But
before we move on now, I have to ask you, the last play, was it pass interference or not?
It was, but like I said, we've played with those calls before too. Can't complain about it. Sucks, but is what it is.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that being PI as well, because you can see the hold on the jersey. Yeah, they should have called that, to be honest.
Well, it is what it is. But Mal, you're not done yet. You're going to talk about NFC East stats, right?
Yeah. All right. So let's go into some stats. So I'm going to start with the Commanders, actually.
Yeah.
And Lucas actually brought it up before, but this was Sam Howell's first 3-touchdown game, and he had a passer rating of 119.7. And then
Wow, what a story.
Yeah, and then
Well,
we'll
hold up. Was
stick
that
with
sarcasm, sir?
No, not at all. I've seen him do that in North Carolina tons of times.
Okay. First time in the NFL. And it's probably not going to be his last time in the NFL either.
I didn't say it was going to be his last.
Well, I'll say this:
That's
Sam
true.
Howell's had some career high games so far this season.
Yeah.
Passing,
He has.
yards, and touchdown.
Yeah. And sacks.
And sacks.
interceptions. Dang. I'm making myself depressed. I'll stop.
All right, so we're going to stick to the quarterback with the Cowboys, and Dak Prescott was 8th overall in passing stats for the week with 272 yards, with a passing touchdown and 109.3 passer rating. So he had a good game too. And then we got he did win that one for y'all. And then we have the Eagles. AJ Brown was 3rd overall in receiving yards with 131 yards this week. He was carving up the banged up Jets secondary. And then the Giants, rookie cornerback Deontay Banks is 2nd among rookies with 5 forced incompletions and has allowed negative 3.6 receptions, which is actually the lowest among all NFL quarterbacks.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. So our first round pick is showing out.
I thought the stat for the Giants was going to be Tyrod Taylor's now their 2nd African American starting quarterback.
That is true too, and he was actually the only one to start primetime game for the Giants.
There you go.
Yeah.
Two fun stats.
So the NFC's got some good things going on.
Yep, good things going on. All right, it is time for the 2-minute drill, which I will give over to Maurice.
Yeah, so this is a 2-minute drill. We'll be going around the league, give the final scores of the NFL games for week 6. Start with Earl.
Alrighty, I got a chance to see 2 games, and the first game that I saw was the 49ers against the Cleveland Browns. That was a really good game as well as a close game. The Browns edged the Niners 19-17. The next game I saw was the New Orleans Saints against the Houston Texans. Texans edged the Saints 2013.
Yeah, and then we go to my 3 games that I covered. First game is the Detroit Lions versus Tampa Bay Bucks. Detroit's offense kept on rolling despite the good defense thus far this season from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They won 20-16. Jared Goff just lit it up. I think he had over 10 receivers or something close to that to get reception. Next game, Cincinnati starting to look like themselves again. They won 17-13 against the Seattle Seahawks. And then the Baltimore Ravens beat the Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill went down with an ankle injury. He is projected to be out, which means we will see more of Malik Willis, a former 3rd-round pick from 2 drafts ago. That's going to be interesting to watch. All right.
All right, so the Dolphins beat the Panthers 42-21. Tua Tagovailoa was 21 for 31, 262, 3 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert had 17 carries for 115 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Tyreek Hill had 6 catches for 163 yards and a touchdown. Their offense looks explosive. Since early 2000 Rams. They look the greatest show on turf. Their offense looked very explosive. It's going to be a tough one for the Eagles this coming Sunday night. Rams beat the Cardinals 26-29. Kyron Williams had 20 carries for 158 yards and a touchdown.